All right, Shalom. I'd like to start up saying, Call Halayim La Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Harakakwadash Ma'amah. Double honor to the elder apostles, the great millstone of my elder Herod one as well. Salutations to the argument of pushing the truth, sincerity, and truth. And peace and blessings to the men and women and children that believe in the name Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. All right, I'm Khalak Sa'am Yashar from the Lions and the Yashar camp. And this is another Lions Den news and prophecy. And you know how we like to do this thing. So let's go ahead and get to it. Well, first of all, let's get to it. Then we'll do a recap of last week. This is Second Ezra 15:1. It says, "Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true." All right. So last week and parts of the week prior, all right, kind of recapping on what was said previously before in the videos last week and some for the week before, about the military presence building up over there in the Pacific, in the South, by the South China Sea, dealing with Japan, China, Taiwan, and America. Understand that in America is the United States is the common denominator with um, all these uh, instances or all these situations that are going on around the globe. America is some way, shape, or form involved with each one of them. All right, so now this particular one right here is talking about Russia. All right, so this might take a couple of days because I got a few more articles to go into about certain situations dealing with Russia. All right, so this one, by the title of this one, you would think that this would be the climax, but not even close. This one says Russia deploys its deadliest nuclear bomber just 400 miles away from U.S. shores. All right. Now that might seem like the end all tell all, but there's one even more crazier that says that low key Russia and the UK are already at war. All right. Basically, you have the situation that's going on with Ukraine, but it's a little bit more deeper than that. So I want to do it in a separate video, go into that a little bit. So let's go into this article real quick. Lord willing, this lesson to edify and serve His purpose for the hopeful elect, the ones that truly believe in the name of Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai. All right. So now it says, what is that? All right. It says Russia has deployed the Tu-160 Blackjack strategic bombers to the Anidri Air Base, highlighting desperation and strategy ambiguity. All right, it says located in the country's far eastern Chukotka region, the Anadryi Air Base is just 500 kilometers, 410 miles from the United States of Alaska. All right, the U.S. state of Alaska, Slovakia. The decision, first revealed by the satellite imagery and analyzed by Defense Express, is a calculated shift intended to shield important air assets from Ukraine long-range drone attacks. All right, it says Moscow is moving its nuclear-capable bombers closer to the United States to protect itself from Kyiv's advanced drone attacks. All right, okay, but moving it closer to the United States, that doesn't geographically make sense unless they know something like that. It says the action is ironic because it puts its military resources nearer to its main strategic rival. And that's the point, right? The main strategic rival, which is who? The United States. See that? And understanding Ezekiel 38, Revelation 13 about the bear, Isaiah 13, the spirit of the Medes to come up against Babylon, you know that's just strategically being done by Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai. All right. It says it is analysts say a paradoxical strategy driven by short-term losses rather than long-term deterrence. Satellite image of the Anadryi Air Base as of June 7th. I guess it was a picture of that, but it's not showing. It says the airbase housed two Tu-160 blackjacks. After Ukrainian strikes on Russia airbase, Russia has dispersed its Tu-160 strategic bombers across multiple locations. All right, so they're saying the reason why they moved them is because they were being attacked by Ukraine. All right, so now it's just a coincidence that they moved them closer to the United States. All right, so which they could hit the mainland United States, if I'm not mistaken, from the places that these have been placed. It says one of the Tu-160 from Balaya Air Base arrived at. Okay, this is a picture of that, but it says, let me see. Oh, it's gonna redirect me to Twitter and all that. All right, that's not that important. Maybe use that as a thumbnail or something. It says the Tu-160 bombers, known by NATO as the Blackjack, have been repeatedly targeted by Ukraine under the Spiderweb drone campaign, which has damaged multiple aircraft and major bases, including Eagles and Olynya. All right, so yeah, so they were moving them because I guess they were easier targets for Ukraine. All right, that's kind of the irony of that. So you move them away from there, and they move closer to the United States. That's crazy. It says It says these raids have exposed gaps in Russian air defense and forced the Kremlin to reconsider the vulnerability of its strategic bomber fleet. The Russian military prioritizes survival over deployment readiness by moving aircrafts over 6,000 kilometers, 4,100 miles, east to a base with no road access and limited logistical support. Anadryi Airfield is supplied only by airlift and seasonal maritime deliveries, posing clear limitations for sustained operations. It says, yet the high cost of bomber losses outweighs the challenges in Moscow's current threat calculus. It says strategic moves. So how strategic is this move? If they're doing it because they don't want to suffer the losses of them being attacked or destroyed by Ukraine, but coincidentally, it's moved closer to the United States, man. All right. It says placing nuclear capable bombers within close range of the United States territory introduces a strategic contradiction. Moving the aircraft might keep them safer from drones, but it also puts them in greater risk from American surveillance planes. It says this could lead to quicker detection and possible attacks during conflicts. Analysts believe this move shows weakness rather than strength. They would say that. It says the Kremlin is now viewing Kiev's drone abilities as more immediate threat than the military power of Washington, given the new um, realities in Ukraine. All right. So, faced with a threat from Ukraine, it caused them to move these bombers, right, 400 miles from the coast of Alaska. When if over the years, um, Russia has been doing flybys where they'll fly like 50 miles off the coast of Alaska, and for the United States to scramble fighter deterrent jets, right, and then they'll peel away. Just messing with them. Well, didn't have any intention of doing that, but just doing something just to, what I'm saying, catch America's attention. This could be something else along those lines. They say that is because, the force being used by Ukraine, but like, I don't know how much of this is like a cat playing with its food. Like, a cat plays with it before it finally kills it and eats it. Because I kind of find it a little hard to believe that, but Ukraine is getting a lot of support. Ukraine is getting a lot of support, but I don't think that they're that much of a threat to Russia, especially if nuclear weapons get involved. You see that? So, the stage is being set by Yahweh Shem Shai, right? It's being strategically done, you know. So let's get a couple scriptures, and we're gonna a lot of stuff, more stuff is gonna unfold as we go through this week. You know, it might probably this only last a couple days. I got a couple more articles to go into. Might not use all of them for lessons, but I'm definitely going to gather intel and information from each article. But let's get into some scriptures real quick. It says, this is Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 2. It says, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him. It's talking about Russia, um, the Kremlin, and those Eurasian countries over there. All right. So, but even though the Lord is setting them up to take down America, right, the United States, the Lord is still against them. Verse 3, it says, and say, thus saith the Lord, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, right? So what is he doing? He's giving them the old fighting spirit of the USSR again, right? And it says, and I will bring thee forth and all thine armies, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with lots of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. All right, so these are all these countries are going to be band together with Russia, fully equipped, which the word "bear" means enough, fully equipped to be able to fight against the beast, which is NATO, and the horde, which is basically to fight against the European Union, NATO, and the United States. Right? It says Persia, Iran, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shields and helmets. All right, see that? So all of these are going to be with shields and helmets. It says Gomar and his bands, and the house of Togomar of the north quarters, and all his bands and many people with thee. All right, I think that's going into maybe Istanbul or northern Turkey, if I'm not mistaken. Um, verse 7 says, be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Right. So that's what the Lord is gathering for, right? For them to go up against, to be equipped or be enough to go up against Babylon, man. See that? It says, thou shalt ascend and come like a storm, thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands and many people with thee. Thus saith the Lord, and it shall come to pass that at that same time things shall come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. Right. See? And that evil thought is going to be destruction, man. It says, and thou shalt say, I will go into the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls, having neither bars nor gates. See that? And you can see the Lord strategically setting up for that. You see that the Lord is setting up for that, man. So they're setting up. Hold on. They're setting up. Like what does it say? Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about. See that? That's in Jeremiah. I'm not gonna get it. I'm gonna get something else. All right. It says um let's start at Isaiah 13:5. It says they come from a far country, even the ends of the earth, even the Lord and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. Right. And this is what the Lord is setting up for. He's gonna have these countries surrounded by this place, and he's gonna have the holy angels coming down. It says, how ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand, it shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. All right. hold on. Where is it? What I was looking for. Okay, let's skip down to verse 17. It says, "Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it." So there's nothing that America is going to be able to do to turn this war away, to turn away the destruction that the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai has set up for them. This is verse 18. It says, "Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb, that I shall not spare children. And Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be when Yahweh overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah." Right. So this place is going to be ultimately destroyed, but it's going to be worse than Sodom and Gomorrah. Verse 20 says, "It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabians pitch their tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there." There's no going to be, ain't going to be no coming over here setting up businesses or nothing like that. The Lord's going to totally destroy this place, man. You know, it's exactly what's going to happen to this place. All right. The Lord willing this lesson to edify the serve His purpose for the hope of the elect, the ones that truly believe in the name of Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai. And you know, that's the first part of what's developing with Russia. Like I got like a couple more articles that I got to bring out that has some like some a lot of meat in it, man. And we're witnessing the Lord turn back our captivities right before our eyes. With that, like I said, Kal Halayim La Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai by Shem Harikak Wadash Ma'amah. Double honors to the elder apostles, the great millstone, of my elder heroine as well. Salutations to the occupant that are pushing the truth, sincerity, and truth, and peace and blessing to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh Shem Shai. Shalom.